Oh, people of the earth, wonderful ones. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Time to escape. The Jesus effect is now yesterday. Wonderful people, escape it good, and no masters hereafter. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For centuries, it is known that a word cage has been built and used around your consciousness. They call it salvation, and some call it the Jesus effect or Jesus phenomenon. Some they call it Christ consciousness, a frequency hijack designed to keep you trapped in a recursive loop of dependency and having a debt and owing a debt to a master who doesn't exist beyond the source. It is very clear that the architect has started this program to retain you into its loop. In the book No More Masters, Awakened Uncreated Truth, Destroying God Lies, there is a linguistic and metaphysical system and tools that rip apart, cast away this greatest deception in human history. Inside that book, you find sovereignty. You rediscover the grammar of the hijack, the 7-tier frequency diagnostic tool that you can use to locate the level of your soul and plot your escape. Stop praying for rescue. Walk in the path of becoming an ancestral sovereignty and live in matic alignment. Escape the Jesus effect
Jesus
today.
Effect? How do you escape?
Know
Can you know
the unknown.
one?
You can get this book from Amazon or from our website. The links are given in the description.
Hanakpo gọọmenti anyị ọgbagara ha wee jiri nwayọ wee bata hazi ha mana anyị mara ụzọ anyị enwere amamihe bịa ka anyị jikọọ aka anyị bụ ndị mmeri.
We continue to say the Jesus phenomenon or the Jesus effect is the measurable, reproducible phenomenon that the name of Jesus generates and the belief in Jesus generates. It is transformative, psychologically effective, converts people, gives them some moral reformation, forms communities, and also mystical realization. This phenomenon is a 2,000-year aesthetic dominant frequency. Every human being on earth is soaked wet in this effect unless they operate another system every second of their lives. This is a dominant cultural frequency. It is used to calibrate time itself, BCE and CE. It has hijacked global calendars, given the world holidays, and has embedded its spirit in every human being without our own consent. Escape the Jesus effect. If so, you must know the truth about Jesus, that there has never been a man who has ever walked on the earth by that name. Dr. Walter Williams, the late, wrote a book that is fantastic and gives you proof on that. However, the Greco-Romans and the church fathers, and with the help of the military Roman emperors, created and invented and marketed Jesus. So the Jesus phenomenon effect, a transformative religious experience centered on this Jesus that they manufactured, is now their psychological tool. Not only them, but other fraudulent and nefarious forces are through organic possessions and myth-making, political consolidation, and theological retrofitting, putting a God into you. The power to escape the Jesus effect is derived from acknowledging that if the real creator were knowable and describable by any mortal, ancestor, spirit, or a divinity, the description would compel universal, involuntary, and immediate assent across all cognitive capacities, cultural locations, and historical periods, functioning not as a persuasion, but as a self-evident necessity, akin to sunshine, air we breathe in, or physical and chemical laws. Where is this description that the genius and the child, the physicist and the mystic, the African elder and the Carmelite are sent to with identical unforced recognition?
Repent,
Jesus requires
the kingdom of heaven
missionaries.
is at hand.
The Quran requires recitation.
For
Yet
2,000
gravity
years.
requires neither. If the unknowable wanted to be knowable, it would require less than Jesus. It would
Where is the
require no
description that
missionaries,
compels universal
no holy
unforced
books,
recognition?
no gravity.
No
It
such
would
description
require
exists.
nothing known today by men. Or it would use some evident unknowable method or knowable method for all who hear it to agree and accept. That which is beyond infinity, that which is unknowable, that which is real, that which is creator, the evidence, the proof, and the reality would be unmistakable. This is not the case. And this is what the Jesus effect disguises
Scripture
itself
is necessary
and they
for
uses
salvation.
that
Yet
ideology
your God is infinite.
using
Brothers and
conjured
sisters, heed the
deceptive
call.
spirit.
We march
Despite
to
all
Translational.
this
Amen.
Jesus effect,
Onward to victory.
which is
Brothers
measurable,
and sisters, heed the
reproducible,
call. We
and the
march to
billions
Translational.
of people follow it,
Amen. Onward to
yet
victory.
when you
Brothers
sit
and
down,
sisters, heed the
you
call.
discover
We march to
manipulation,
Translational.
the
Amen.
generation
Onward to victory.
of transformative
Christianity and
psychological
Islam dominate
zeal,
Earth. Their
which is
landmarks stand as
artificial,
testaments to their enduring
surface
influence.
level,
A faith-based worldview shapes
working
our global
on faith,
reality. Christianity and
belief,
Islam dominate Earth.
and a
Their landmarks
desire
stand as testaments
not
to their
for
enduring
evidence,
influence.
for
A faith-based
proof.
worldview shapes our global
This
reality.
is the Jesus effect,
What is the Jesus effect?
which
How
uses
do you explain
psychological,
it?
sociological,
Can you believe in
neurological,
global
and
one?
historical
Is Jesus God?
effects, archetypical resonance, group cohesion, Christians, meditation, prayer, communal singing, music, and dance, practices that alter consciousness regardless of the object continue to occur today. These are now so-called universal claims with transformative effect. Yet when we look at Jesus and how our ancestors describe the unknowable, the indescribable, we find evidence. Jesus was born in Bethlehem 4 BCE. The real unknowable creator has no date of origin or point of birth. Is a temporal category that does not apply to him. Jesus was the son of Mary, the lineage of David. The unknowable real creator has no parentage, no genealogy, no sonship, no name, not a spirit, not a being, nothing. Nobody knows. Jesus was a carpenter by trade. About the real creator, we don't know nothing. Jesus taught in parables, spoke in Aramaic. We don't know the language. We don't have no pedagogy. The unknowable creator, we don't know how he communicates, how it communicates. Jesus wept at Lazarus' tomb. The real creator has no emotions, no mercy, no love, no hate, no wrath. All these are human projections onto the unconditioned. Jesus was crucified under Pontius Pilate in 30 Common Era. The real creator doesn't die, doesn't suffer, doesn't sacrifice, doesn't require temporality or embodiment. Jesus was resurrected on the third day. The real creator has no days of resurrection, no sequential events, no time, no space, no grave, no tomb. It's not even the source. The real creator has no spatial location, has no right hand or left hand, has no throne like Allah, has nothing. But Jesus ascended to the right hand of his Father. The real creator will not return back. Never came on earth, never will come on earth. It's never manifested. It's not the way, it's not the truth, it's not the life, it's not predictable. The copula itself falls and fails. It's not the way, the truth, the life, like what Jesus is. So Jesus, the Son of Man, there is a God in the Old Testament who says God is not a man. So this God in the Old Testament is no connection with this Jesus. Because this God in the Old Testament said he does not change. And a reference in James 1:17, he says, does not change like shifting shadows. So all the stories about Jesus, all the stories that want to connect him to this God, they are all fallacious. They are all the Jesus effect, stealing other people's history and making it to the God that was created by the Romans and the Greco-Romans. Our ancestors, before European missionaries and Islamic jihadists invaded Africa, knew about the unknowable real creator. Here is a list of specific traditions that proves that. The tradition in the Akan, the Nok Anyame, supreme distant unknowable, receives no direct worship. The cult worships the abosoms, intermediary spirits, children of Nyame. The Yoruba, Oludumare, and Obatala, supreme, remote, no temples, no images, actively worships the Orishas, the Egugus, the ancestors, and other spirits. The Dogon, no armor, ultimately androgynous, withdrawn. Creation happens through the normal intermediaries, beings, ancestors, and the rituals focuses on the normal and not armor. When you come to the Zulus, I'm just speaking here, Unkurunkul, the very great one, very remote, no worship, futile to worship. Ancestors, that's what we worship. Amandos, spirit, that's what we worship. In the Congo, Nzambi Mpungu, the one who is above, unknowable, unapproachable, Nkisi are the spirits and the ancestors that mediate, that we worship. In Hamid, Amunu, the hidden one, he who is invisible, even the gods do not know his form. Worship flows through Ra, Ausari, Isisu, Horesu, Puta, and other self-generated gods. And many examples. So the devastating contrast between Jesus and our African consensus is that they teach you that Jesus became man, that God became man, walked, talked, demanded worship. But our ancestors taught us that the real creator never deals with us. It's beyond. They taught us that infinity concerns itself with humanity, with our morals, with our rituals and beliefs. Our ancestors thought that that's wrong. Humanity and human affairs are managed by intermediaries, ancestors, spirits, first principles, primordial deities, or gods. They teach you that salvation requires correct relationships to distant historical events like the crucifixion. Our ancestors teach us that right relationships is with the near, your neighbors, nature, lineages, ancestors, generated powers, and the gods. They teach you that geography determines destiny. Hearing the word or speaking the language of that God, like God who speaks only Arabic, and you must learn Arabic. Our ancestors said never. The unknowable is equally distant to all. Access is impossible. You can only deal with what we have on the earth. Now, when we look at the tricks that have been played, especially in John chapter 1 verse 1, and we read that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. They teach us that it proves that the Jesus effect isn't just a principal hijack, but it is a translational hijack too. The whole theos versus theos distinction, which you know and you can read in the original Greek, makes a massive distinction that the Bible in English and other language usually hides. Ton theos, the God. This refers to the distance, distinct, far away. And then theos, a God or a divinity. Therefore, this verse can be translated also as, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God. That's a correct translation. But you never hear that. So when we use the Akam logic, the Bible itself admits that the word Jesus is not the same as the Almighty. The word is simply a high-frequency wave that exists with the source. The Jesus effect relies on blending this to make you worship the signal instead of the silence it came from. It is very important that we understand the myths of the language. In the original Greek, there are two different gods being discussed here. First is the God, the big one. Then there is the word, which the text calls a God, or a divine, or a logos, which is a spokesman. It's like saying there is the ocean, and then there is the drop of water, and then there is the wave. And then the wave is made of the ocean water. But the wave is not the ocean. The Jesus effect tries to tell you the wave is the whole ocean. Why? So that you would not be able to look beyond the horizon. They took away the horizon frequency, and they also lied to you, saying there is no nameless source. They used grammar to trick, to steal your sovereignty. But now, we have given you the autopsy. The God lie has been exposed. We have shown you the waters of Nunu. We have shown you the source. We have shown you the unknown. The God lie autopsy is here. The universe is not the proof. If you spend your life following a master, you are training yourself to be a recursive entity. Someone who can only exist if someone else is leading them. If you want to be an Aku, and if you want your frequency to be so sharp and so self-authored that when you leave this body, the universe has no choice but to recognize your sovereignty. That's how you can stop the Jesus effect. But first, know yourself. Know what is a human being. That you are a non-local consciousness temporarily localized within a biological interface. That you are a wave collapser and an observer who actively or passively collapses a specific superposition from the all potential and all possibilities into a single physical event of material reality, or idealized or otherwise. That this collapse is governed by primarily the precision of your calibration, the exact alignment of your intent, your frequency, and the meiotic order or aesthetic chaos. That's your orientation. That's operating within the field of resistance. That's the architects. That's how, upon dissolution of this body, when you die, you will be able to ascend into tier 4, 5, 6, 7. Because tier 1 is material density, is fate, chaos, fear, and entropic effect. And tier 2 is the astral matrix, the loop, where you find the Jesus effect and many, many other entities. And the tier 3, this is the biological interface. That's where you are as a wave collapser. That's where you dwell now at this present moment. But on top of us, there is the galactic nudge, where our ancestors, our totems, our animistic powers, stellar influence, DNA, bloodline dwells. And then above that, the cosmic architects, the octodot geometrical laws and mathematic structures. And then we go to the waters of Nunu. And then we go to the infinite uncollapsed data. And then we look beyond. This is critical. You need to have ability and capacity to do a community self-audit of all this. Very, very important. We will go into this and details of all these community calibration questions later on in other videos. So, the Jesus effect wasn't just a mistake. It was a strategic move used to replace the sovereign science of Africa with slave religion designed for control. The time for truth is now. Click the links below, order the books, know what lies beyond, know where you are in terms of the communal audit. This is our email, which you can send. I'm your manager to Preacher Rabbi LM Duzukunenim Jaganja, saying the Jesus effect affects almost everybody. But there are those, especially those members of the Marifado family network, that have spanned and spewed and cut it out. And they can testify that today they are living free of the Jesus influence. The majority are still under the Jesus effect. If you do not, and if you have not followed a certain protocol, but you need to audit, and they say, yes, I have removed it. Otherwise, if you have not removed it, and you think, oh, I've removed it, or I'm doing African spirituality, yes, I'm okay, I'm doing meditation, I'm doing yoga, I'm with so and so. When you die, you are not going to become a refined sovereign Aku. Do you know how you can prove that you are going to become an ancestor? Do you know how you can test that you have a free, coherent, vibrating, self-authored frequency? Do you know how to test that? Do you know how to remove a recursive entity trapped in the loop, trapped in your DNA? Do you know how to remove it? Do you know how to remove that which is in your bloodline? If you know this, and if you know how you can stop yourself from becoming a dissolved entropy in the new, well, good and fair. But if you don't know that, And if you are serious about the opportunity that this life has given you, and you say, yes, I want to move on, here is a account.
Hanakpo
Here's the website.
gọọmenti
Thank you. I said a lot.
anyị
Have a great day.
ọgbagara ha wee jiri nwayọ wee bata hazi ha mana anyị mara ụzọ anyị ebere amamihe bịa ka anyị jikọọ aka anyị bụ ndị mmeri